My guest today, Laska Nenova, is one of the board members of Placemaking Europe. She is also the head of memberships and campaigns at International Sports and Cultural Association ISCA. And she also laid the foundation of the campaign Now We Move in order to inspire and motivate people towards physical activity of any sort. She is also the founder of BGB Active organization based in Bulgaria. In this episode, we talked about the importance of physical activity and fitness and how sports and culture can create a difference and make an impact in placemaking leadership. Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. I am Asban Sari, the founder of the organization Peacemakers Pakistani, and I am bringing you the stories of placemakers, artists, and professionals from around the globe about how they created an impact and made change happen. You are listening to the Making It Happen show. Thank you for joining in. Enjoy the episode. Oh, hello.
Hello.
So, how are you, Laska, and how is it going?
I'm quite good. It's busy January. It seems like everybody are out of their cocoons and a lot of emails, a lot of projects, a lot of online meetings. I do prefer that they're in person, but hopefully in the future we can meet again in person.
Yes. Okay, so discovering that someone is advocating for physical activities and for campaigning for sports and culture in place-making leadership has been a very fascinating discovery for me. And I would like to know more about how it can make a difference and create an impact. So thank you for joining me today and let's talk about it. So first of all, tell me that what inspired you to be a public space advocate and to be a placemaker?
Yeah, what inspired me? It was first the need to have better places for myself. I've always been a very active person, but I've always didn't like the situation that we have in our public spaces, at least in my country, where the streets are littered. There's no lights. It's not really safe to be active late in evening. It's not really sometimes before when I was starting, it was not safe to be a lone girl out in the park running. So this was the first time when I started thinking, what could be the difference, how things can be different. And in my younger years, I still do now, but in my younger years, I started joining different events and activities of cleaning up public spaces where we were trying to solve these solutions. And later on, when I started working and doing different events and activities under the Now We Move campaign, the campaign that I lead for the International Sports and Culture Association, we were very strong in campaigning. We are asking people, go out, find your move, but often only certain number of countries are quite safe or pleasant to be out and finding your move. And I started asking myself, so what is the missing link? When we talk to people, we motivate the people, what is the missing link? When we say go out, find your move, and that was the public spaces. And back in 2017, I started searching for solutions, for ideas, for methods, for good examples where activists and people before me thought about public space and how this could be for people. And this is how I started with placemaking and being public space advocate in a more formulated and structured way. It slowly drove me from bad personal experience, or not bad personal experience, but unhappiness, to understanding more, then creating the first projects, then finding the right crowd to work with, and becoming vocal about the need of really good public space for people. And this is also how I became one of the founders of Placemaking Europe and a board member of Placemaking Europe.
Amazing. Okay, so you are interested in advocating for culture and sports. Why these two and how do you relate both together?
Mhm. Physical activity and sport, and I will need to make a remark. I always do it. Sport in different languages means different things in our head. When we think about sport, we think about a structured activity, very often quite competitive, where we compete with either a team or with another person to win something. What I say is that I promote physical activity, and this is every day at every moment. This could be walking, this could be mountaineering, this could be running, swimming. What we say in the campaign is that there's not one move. We don't say, oh, you need to run, this is the best move for you. Oh, you need to go rowing because this is the best move for you. We say, find your move, find what makes you happy, and become regular at that, because physical activity for health is actually very important for us. And culture, we promote bodily culture, bodily movement culture. And I think, and I know that in connection with sport and culture, this could be a bit far-fetched, because again, people imagine culture as opera or theater, but we say that we promote the culture of movement. And there's a term, physical literacy, where we try to teach people to understand their bodies and their bodies in relation with the environment, and how they can move better for longer, for life, and healthier. So this is where I find the connection, and this is where the organization that I work with, International Sports and Culture Association, based in Copenhagen, Denmark, finds the relation. And there is a fun fact. I work with ISCA, International Sports and Culture Association, for 8 years now. And when I started working with them, it amazed me that sport in Denmark is hosted by the Ministry of Culture. And I really like it, because in some countries, sport is hosted in Ministry of Sport. In other countries, it's hosted in Ministry of Defense, Military and Defense, and other education and sport, or youth and sport. But it's one country that hosts sport and culture, and I find it very relevant.
Interesting. Okay, so you are very much interested in inspiring people to be active and focus on physical health. Why is that so? Importance does it hold for you? And how had it facilitated you in placemaking leadership?
Mhm. Again, all of us, we start and go somewhere because of personal stories. Something made an impression to us. We had a favorite person that we followed, or we dreamed to become something. And my story with physical activity starts with my childhood. When I was growing up, I was not a healthy kid. I had pneumonia at least twice per year, and doctors always prescribed sitting for me. So I was always on the bench, never playing, never being active. And of course, as a young girl and lady, very much looking into how she looks. When I was growing up, I had a bit of overweight. So I started looking into exercise for losing weight. And a part of losing weight, I actually stopped being so sick. So slowly, with physical activity and regular sport, my pneumonia disappeared. My other illnesses, they also disappeared. And when I become a student for first year, I stopped for a bit to apply for university. And this 1 year, I become ill again. And after that, I've never stopped being active. So physical activity and sport have been always part of my life because of my health. And some years ago, when I decided to change my career path, because before I was working as a marketing and sales director for the corporate sector, at some point, I was finding all these different reasons and causes to want to do something to help people and change something based on my own experiences. So I quit my corporate job, and I moved to NGO sector. I re-educated myself, and I become a group fitness trainer. Then I founded my first functional fitness gym in my city in Plovdiv. And the goal was always, I don't want people to be sick. I don't want them to feel pain, because many young people, many office workers we sit all day, and then it's pain in the back, pain in the shoulder, pain in everywhere. So what I wanted is to show people that through movement they can really live a quality life. And this brought me later on to become an organizer of large scale events for promoting physical activity for health. Again, no sport, no competition, just giving opportunities to people to find their move. And this slowly led me, as I said in the first question, of learning, of searching, and becoming part of Placemaking board, Placemaking Europe board, where I'm advocating for more public spaces which are suitable also for physical activity and sport and dance and being together.
Awesome. Basically, I can relate to this very well because the reason I started my organization was also the same reason that I was very much interested in how to bring more awareness to people about mental health and physical health in terms
Super.
of communities coming together, social interaction, and slowing down, and physical activities, and everything that is related to mental health and to physical health as well. Overall, emotional health, most of all. And
You know,
yes, this is how
so
it
many
should be.
researchers saying that, especially now in COVID situation, they say, move for your mental health. We live in one body and everything is connected. It's not physical here, mental there, and something else over there. It's all together. So great. And I'll be happy to hear also for your work about mental health and physical health. That would be great.
Okay. Why do you say that our communities need entrepreneurial activities most? Civic entrepreneur, that means. Shed some light over that.
Mm. Um, for me, entrepreneurship is not just the stereotype of somebody deciding to start their own business and do something. For me, being entrepreneurial is a way of thinking. And because I very much like working with young people, and I've been mentoring young people, this is one thing that I want to teach them. I don't need to teach you how to do a business plan. I don't need to teach you how to write a letter. There's enough information about it. What I want to teach you is how to think entrepreneurial. So we have a challenge. And the first thing is that, and you say one entrepreneurial person looks into the opportunities and it's more solution driven than problem driven. And this is why I say that we need more entrepreneurial activities where the community comes together, thinks creatively, bootstraps, find the resources, find the stakeholders, find all the support that they need, that they change the situation um, in their community. This is, my take on entrepreneurship. And civic entrepreneurship is exactly in the same realm. This is what I say, that uh, describing all the activists, all the my colleague from Placemaking Board Europe, Jeroen, he says the zealous nuts come together. Uh, they, together with the power of the community involvement, they tackle social problems. This is where I see this civic entrepreneurship too. So it's a way of thinking, a way of living, and a way of fighting, in a good sense.
All right, great. Okay, so your passion is to initiate and develop projects which deliver long lasting change in attitude and perception. What sort of attitude and perception are you referring to, and why do you want to change it?
Um, the attitude that I really want to change is this extraction of personal responsibility to somebody else. I don't know if you have it in your country, but at least in my country, it's very often somebody is guilty. The government, the politicians, the municipality, the principal of the school, the colleague, the neighbor, whomever, everybody. I mean, streets are littered. Municipality is guilty, or the corporations are guilty. The lights are off. Somebody is guilty. And this is the attitude that I want to change, because, it's not one entity guilty and there's no guilt. I don't like it. As people, as citizens, we're responsible. We live in a country and a city, and we have rights, but we also carry responsibilities. So what I would like to change and always communicate through the projects, that I don't want to point fingers at anybody. I want to facilitate people to come together, and they understand that they have shared responsibility, and only together we can achieve lasting change. Because if we are fractured, we don't achieve anything. And the title of the project could be Now We Move campaign. Find your move, physical activation, but it's always about volunteering. So people, citizens, they organize events and activities for their friends and neighbors, so they help them find their move. The project could be titled littering prevention through placemaking, but again, it's the community, the citizens that come together and organize themselves. And this, for me, it's a way to teach civic activism, and this is what I want to install, because you cannot have rights without responsibility, and being a citizen is a responsible job.
Yes, it's like training people to be self-led and to be independent in their actions and their choices instead of just blaming around. And exactly, we share the same thing in these two parts of the world. Okay, so sports and physical activities can play a huge role in inclusion. How do you
Mm.
support that on community level projects?
Mhm. We support this in different ways. So, as ISCA, International Sports and Culture Organization, many years ago, we started a project, a methodology called Education Through Sport. And what education through sport means, and physical activity, is that we use the language of sport and physical activity to involve young people, but also the surrounding community, into topics and discussions with the language of sport that speaks about inclusion. And we also create projects where we facilitate this closer relationship cross sectors for integration of the different communities. Currently, we have one project here in ISCA and in Europe, which is called Integration of Refugees Through Sport, where, the term refugees, it's a bit broader. It's not only of this transfer of people that we had recently in Europe, but we want to include everybody that feels as a refugee from one country to another. And we use the language of sport. And at the moment we develop these methodologies, and I can send you the link later so you can share also in your website and the podcast, different methodologies based on the experience of different organizations, not explicitly connected to sport, but to culture, to social work, to youth work, to volunteering work. And we help them, and we develop together these tools where we can work with underrepresented people and excluded people.
Thank you for sharing that link to me, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so what attracts you about tactical urbanism approach?
It's freedom, I think, relative freedom. First, when I approached tactical urbanism, I thought back from my career, oh, that's a guerrilla marketing. This is another term for this innovative marketing tactics where you make the uh, society, community, media speak about it. But what I like about tactical urbanism is the freedom of the small budget gives you to be creative, also to be very flexible. For example, if you want to create a structure and as this structure is not explicitly expensive, it's not for forever, and if there's disagreement, then you can remove it. But what I like about tactical urbanism is that helps you to start a conversation. This is the thing that I really like. And at the moment, again, an example from my city in Plovdiv, there's a conversation about closing of one of the oldest streets of the city, probably the first big boulevard in the city, closing it for cars and opening for pedestrians. And of course there are discussions, there are unhappy people, happy people, there are the both sides. And what we decided to do through the tools of tactical urbanism is to create pockets of spaces with small urban gardens, with a small bench, with a small place where people can meet and gather, just to represent what the street could be if redesigned and created for people. And of course there's happy people and happy people again, but it gives us the possibility to start and have all these conversations and speed up the process of transformation.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, the theme that you support in Placemaking Europe is
Mm.
future-proof cities through placemaking. What value does it hold for you, and how do you describe future-proof cities?
Mm. I was really thinking how to answer this question because it's a very broad question. And future-proof city holds different values for us, depending of where we are coming. Um, and I was a bit, let's say, direct. I was thinking, can I say it's a foolproof city? Because many of the problems in our cities are, created either of interest or lack of understanding or lack of desire to learn. And for me, the future-proof city is the collaborative city, open to different views and open to different discussions and very inclusive. And of course, for me, these are cities that provide opportunities for people to be active, physically active.
Yes, I appreciate that you have a great understanding about the cities and how they are all connected towards opportunities and everything. Okay,
Mm,
why and how do you support the agenda of child-friendly cities?
mm. One, how I supported, it's again stereotypical. Children are the future our of us. Um, and if we don't think about the future, then we cannot have future-proof cities. And there's ongoing discussions, and probably the 880 organization of Gil Penalosa, based in Canada, and then the organization says that cities need to be suitable for people from 8 to 80 years old. And there's always this approach that some people say cities are designed for cars, cities are not designed for women, cities are designed for this and that, and rarely cities are designed for kids and their mothers, when they were built. So this is why I support the agenda, because if we don't think for the child-friendly cities, then we don't think about our future. And very soon we will have all these dark futuristic movies with tall buildings and dark buildings and unhappy sick people as reality.
Indeed. Okay, and how do you find the importance of campaigns in inspiring people and bringing change? And what's the most effective way to do it?
The most effective way to do it is through partnerships. This is what I've discovered in the years of coordinating the campaigns. And I coordinate the Now We Move campaign for the past 8 years. And what I discovered is the mix between strong digital communication, replicating what corporates do, because quite often, sometimes in NGO sector, we underestimate the power of strong communication, both visual and contextual. And I think what makes a working campaign is the combination between your communication online nowadays and what you do on the local level, the activation. And the success of the campaign has been that in each country that we work, we have a partner, and we never give direction. What we do with the campaign is we give a framework. We say the goal is to promote physical activity for health. The goal is to change behavior and to motivate people to uptake physical activity for health. Events needs to be free. They need to be open for everybody. There's no exclusion. uh, and they need to be very very creative and very fun. So there's no competition. And then we say, okay, what is the particular context in that country? What are the particular objectives? How people are active? And then we leave the national partner to organize the event and to fill the frame with their needs and activities. For me, this has been a very successful approach because, you know, it's not, you cannot have one box fitting to everybody. Our box is different sizes and with a different content, but always with the main message. It needs to be inclusive, it needs to be free, and it needs to be for the people and everybody.
Yes, and that's how the culture plays its role. It's different in different cities and countries. Okay, what does International Sport and Culture Association has to offer to Asian countries?
A lot. ISCA is international, truly by notion and by openness. First, what I can offer in this distance world, I cannot invite you to our events where, you know, we are just regulated at the moment. But what I can offer is our learning. At the moment, we have isca.learn.org, a platform dedicated to providing free knowledge to physical activity agents, but actually it could be for everybody, for our all activists, because we have expert courses provided by some of the biggest global organizations working in our field. We have movement spaces course where we discuss working practices of redesigning spaces for physical activity. We have theory of change course provided by one of the leading organizations. We have impact measurement. This is all for organizations working in the field of any change, of any social change, very suitable. Also, ISCA is open for members from Asian, I mean, all the countries, doesn't matter where you come. You just need to be motivated and working actively to improve health and well-being of your community and your citizens. We can provide all the good practices in event organization. Later on, again, I will send you all the websites, all the events and activities that you can share to your listeners and your community, because what ISCA provides is that we have fully designed websites, and we provide for free design resources like posters, banners, anything that you would need to just click, print, and use for promotion of the small events and activities. We provide concepts, guides for event organization, quite a lot of things for everybody that are interested in working with their communities.
Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the wrap up questions. Laska, what drives you? What keeps you focused on public spaces?
Mm. Believe believe that change is possible. And this is what it drives me. I mean, this personal notion that I cannot just complain. And if I want to see a change, I just work hard for it. And when I was younger, I was tending to think that I can do it by myself. But later on, I understood that community and strong supporters, it's really important. So this also the people, my partners, my friends, my colleagues that I work with, this is also what drives me forward.
Okay, and share any experience or memory that make you proud of the work you are doing and the scene you made.
Uh, yeah, I think there are many different experience and memories. I usually I'm most proud when a young person I have worked with, they write me in 5 years that they remember me and I have taught them something, because everything else, projects, numbers, events, it's completely irrelevant. It also really makes me proud when a friend says, you know, after so many years, you actually made me move and now I sign up for a gym. Because for me, one person, it's huge change because this person carries the fire and it will bring it forward. For me, this is the most proudest moments for me.
And your hardest moment of work life that was a struggling moment of yours?
Mm, understanding that being too ambitious could be bad. I mean, too ambitious in a way that you want to do a lot of things, because at some point of my life, I was doing so many things and I've taken so many projects that I actually burned out and I had to stop. So my body said, you need to stop. And this was a constant campaign, event, meeting, plane, another one and another one, and from the plane back in the gym. So I kind of disregarded that I'm a human being. And I think this has been one of the hardest moments, because you need to be humble, even if you work, and you need to realize that you also, good work is done when you feel good. This is really a hard moment of me. Hmm?
Yeah, and you learned well. You learned the
Yeah,
lesson. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, one quote or favorite placemaking mantra of yours?
Change is possible.
Yes,
This is it. I always repeat it. I see it in the small moments. Even if we change a tile on a pedestrian lane, we change it and it makes it possible. And a bunch of small changes makes big changes really possible. So this is my mantra.
great. Share your opinion about placemaking in Pakistan or Pakistan. Do you have any?
No, unfortunately, I did not follow enough, and this is what I considered as a bad of me, because I've seen the website, I've seen the Facebook group, but it's, yeah, this is, I need to confess. But I'm now, it's on my points of learning that I learn more, understand more, because probably you have what many lessons to teach us. So this is on my agenda. And I'll be looking forward of exchange with you, my links with your links.
Great. Thank you so much. I just accept this acknowledgement, appreciation humbly. Okay, any message for global leaders out there, as many new young professionals are joining in?
Young professionals, for the global leaders, I would say listen. Sometimes our crazy ideas are really good ideas. Just listen and give us opportunity to share what we know and what we learn, because your way is not always the right way. And for the young people, don't give up. I mean, I've been failing so many times, and if I failed up, I would be somewhere, just if not fail up, but if I stopped or did not continue, I'd be somewhere else. And it's a skill, like entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial thinking is a skill. Somebody says no, it slaps the door in your face, and you say, fine. They're just saying, if they slap the door, you go through the window. If window is not open, then I'll build me another window. And I have this example when I share my experience. Some of my projects that I do now, they have 15 years. I've thought of them 15 years ago. They didn't happen 15 years ago, they happen now. But it's the building of, finding the right moment and never giving up. Maybe some things change for 15 years and the project needs to be changed a little bit. Maybe some things didn't change. In many situations, many things don't change. But I dreamed of engaging and changing the public parks in my city, and back then I didn't know how and with whom I shall do it. So I started learning, and now I'm working together with municipality of the city on different city parks. And it's just this relation, not to put us in boxes. Oh yeah, this cannot be done, maybe not now, maybe in 1 2 3 years or 15, who cares, but you'll do it. So just keep going.
Yes, Laska, you are awesome. It was a great episode. It was full of wisdom, and I learned lots of things. And I can feel the excitement in me towards working with you and with people in my community. Thank you so much for this episode. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you for inviting me and really looking forward that we find ways to work together across the sea and the mountains.
Definitely.